Muammar Gaddafi stands among the most enigmatic and polarizing leaders of the modern era. A tribal Bedouin who toppled a monarchy and ruled Libya with theatrical flair and iron-fisted repression for over 4 decades, Gaddafi's story is as much a chronicle of revolutionary ambition as it is a cautionary tale of authoritarian excess. From his early admiration for Arab nationalism to his delusions of Pan-African grandeur and ultimately to his gruesome downfall during the Arab Spring, Gaddafi's life encapsulates the turbulence of post-colonial North Africa. Muammar Muhammad Abu Minyar al-Gaddafi was born in 1942 near Qasr Abu Hadi, a village close to Sirte, into a poor nomadic Bedouin family of the Qadadfa tribe. His formative years were spent under the shadow of Italian colonialism and King Idris I's monarchy, both of which left deep impressions on Gaddafi's political consciousness. Strongly influenced by Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser's brand of Arab nationalism and socialism, Gaddafi internalized anti-imperialism, anti-Westernism, and a desire for Arab unity. In 1963, Gaddafi entered the Royal Military Academy in Benghazi. There, he and other young officers began to secretly organize the Free Officers movement, inspired by Nasser's 1952 coup in Egypt. These officers viewed the Libyan monarchy as corrupt, weak, and subservient to Western interests. This clandestine circle would become the nucleus of Libya's coming revolution. On the 1st of September 1969, while King Idris was in Turkey for medical treatment, Gaddafi and his fellow officers seized power in a nearly bloodless coup. They declared the monarchy abolished and proclaimed the Libyan Arab Republic. Gaddafi, then just 27, quickly emerged as the charismatic face of the new regime. Inspired by Nasser's model, Gaddafi emphasized Arab unity, nationalization of resources, and an anti-imperialist foreign policy. Libya closed Western military bases, including the Wheelus Air Base, which was an American facility, and nationalized British Petroleum's assets in the country. These moves boosted Gaddafi's popularity across the Arab world and secured vast oil revenues for the state. By the mid-1970s, Gaddafi began to develop and promote his own ideological framework. He rejected Western democracy and Marxism alike, outlining a third universal theory in his infamous Green Book, published in 3 parts between 1975 and 1979. This book became compulsory reading in Libya. The Green Book argued that representative democracy was a sham and proposed instead direct democracy through people's congresses and people's committees. The result was the creation of the Great Socialist People's Libyan Arab Jamahiriya in 1977, a term coined by Gaddafi to mean state of the masses. Despite the veneer of populism, real power remained centralized. Gaddafi stepped down from formal government positions in 1979, preferring the title brotherly leader and guide of the revolution. Yet this was purely symbolic. He retained complete authority behind the scenes, ruling via loyal security networks and revolutionary committees. Dissent was stifled through surveillance, censorship, imprisonment, and torture. Public hangings of dissidents, often televised, sent a chilling message. Opposition was treason. Oil was Gaddafi's golden goose. His nationalization of Libya's oil industry dramatically increased state revenues, funding his welfare programs and grand infrastructure projects. Libyans enjoyed free education, healthcare, housing subsidies, and even interest-free loans. The country achieved one of the highest per capita incomes in Africa during the 1970s and early 1980s. Among Gaddafi's boldest ventures was the Great Man-Made River, an enormous engineering feat that transported water from underground aquifers to arid coastal cities. He called it the 8th wonder of the world, and despite its cost and controversy, it improved access to water for millions of Libyans. However, the economy remained heavily centralized and inefficient. Corruption and cronyism flourished under the guise of socialism, and productive sectors outside oil remained underdeveloped. Initially, Gaddafi focused on Arab unity. He proposed and attempted numerous unification plans with Egypt, Syria, Tunisia, and Algeria, all of which collapsed due to political and ideological differences. His dream of a pan-Arab superstate faded by the early 1980s. Frustrated, Gaddafi pivoted to Pan-Africanism, portraying himself as the leader of a united African continent. He funded the African Union and styled himself as the King of Kings of Africa. He handed out lavish gifts, financial aid, and weapons to African leaders and rebel movements alike. His foreign adventurism included backing insurgents in Chad, Uganda, Sudan, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Libya's 1978-87 war with Chad was a costly failure. Gaddafi also supported groups like the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, and the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO. Gaddafi's embrace of radical causes and rogue groups turned Libya into a pariah state. Accusations of involvement in terrorism intensified during the 1980s. In 1984, Libyan embassy staff in London shot and killed policewoman Yvonne Fletcher, sparking a diplomatic crisis. In 1986, the so-called Berlin discotheque bombing killed American soldiers, prompting United States airstrikes on Tripoli and Benghazi in what was called Operation El Dorado Canyon. During these strikes, Gaddafi's adopted daughter was reportedly killed. The Pan Am Flight 103 bombing over Lockerbie in 1988 was, without a doubt, the most consequential. The bombing, which killed 270 people, was eventually traced to Libyan intelligence operatives. International sanctions crippled Libya's economy, and Gaddafi's global standing hit rock bottom. By the late 1990s, with Libya isolated and its economy struggling, Gaddafi made a strategic retreat. He agreed to compensate Lockerbie victims and allowed Libyan suspects to be tried in The Hague. In 2003, he announced that Libya would, quote, voluntarily dismantle its weapons of mass destruction programs. The West, eager to turn a former foe into an ally, rewarded Gaddafi with diplomatic re-engagement. He met with Western leaders, welcomed foreign investment, and even cooperated in the so-called War on Terror after 9/11. Libya was temporarily rebranded as a partner of peace. Oil exports resumed, and international sanctions were lifted. But the truth was that human rights abuses, corruption, and autocracy still remained, just hidden beneath the surface. When uprisings erupted across the Arab world in 2011, Libya was not spared. Protests broke out in Benghazi and quickly spread. Gaddafi's response was characteristically brutal. He vowed to crush opposition like rats, deploying mercenaries and heavy weaponry against civilians. The international community, fearing a genocide, acted swiftly. Under United Nations Security Council Resolution 1973, a NATO-led coalition launched airstrikes to protect civilians. Rebel forces with NATO's support pushed westward. In October, Gaddafi was captured near Sirte while attempting to flee. He was beaten, tortured, and killed by rebel fighters. Graphic videos of his death were circulated worldwide, symbolizing both the end of an era and the horrors of vengeance. In the aftermath of his fall, Libya descended into chaos. The lack of institutions, democratic culture, and national unity, hallmarks of Gaddafi's highly personalized rule, left a vacuum filled by warlords, militias, and foreign interference. Two rival governments vied for legitimacy, and terrorist groups like ISIS briefly established a foothold. Ironically, some Libyans began to reflect on Gaddafi's era as one of relative stability and prosperity, despite its brutal repression. His legacy thus remains deeply divisive, seen by some as a visionary and by others as a ruthless tyrant who destroyed Libya's future. Muammar Gaddafi was a paradox. He spoke of freedom while jailing his critics. He offered healthcare and housing, yet ruled through fear. He imagined himself as a prophet-like figure destined to reshape the world, but ended up broken and bloodied in a roadside culvert. His legacy defies simplistic categorization. Gaddafi was part philosopher king, part madman, part nationalist hero, and part war criminal. His reign offers enduring lessons on the perils of unchecked power, the fragility of revolutionary ideals, and the complex aftershocks of regime change. In the end, Gaddafi died as he lived, wildly defiant, unpredictable, and tragically out of step with the forces. That ultimately destroyed him. And thanks for watching. For more bite-sized bits of blistering history, please like and subscribe.